All right, welcome back to the show. Still in the studio, two of the team members from the Vail Fire Department. I've got Paul Cada and Mark Novak. You guys, thanks for hanging out today.
Yeah, you bet.
This is a good sign. That means you're not having to rush out for any emergencies right now. And that's always a good thing. So we spoke first about red flag warnings and about what people can kind of expect with the weather patterns we're seeing right now and potential things that can happen. Paul, we talked off camera about kind of preparing your property. We talked about grilling at your house and what to do with it, but what's some of the other stuff? You had mentioned defensible space. And I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I think probably a lot of people don't think that way. What does that mean?
Yeah, so right now we don't have a lot of wildfires here, which is great. This is the time that we can take to prepare so that when we do have a wildfire, that our property is safe. You know, the number one important thing in wildfire is we want to get people away from that. You know, people are number one, but then obviously we want to protect people's property. Well, when you have leaves underneath your deck, trees right up next to your house, it's pretty hard if a wildfire were to burn right next to your house for us to protect it. So what defensible space is it's pulling back some vegetation away from the house and really having things in your landscaping that doesn't burn particularly well. The other part,
like what would that? Give me an example of that. Like what would that be?
You know, so just in the choice of landscaping, so juniper bushes, they burn really, really well.
They do, don't they?
They absolutely do.
Hot and fast.
Hot and fast.
Okay.
Versus like say low-growing succulents, they don't burn particularly well. Something that has a lot of water content to it just doesn't burn very well. So just the choices of plants that you have in your landscaping can make a huge difference. Oh. The other thing is, you know, we like to have a lot of landscaping here. It's kind of the look that we have, right? Well,
except for my house, yeah.
It makes it challenging because that's a lot of stuff to burn, right? So when we can just break up landscaping too. So if, instead of having the hedgerow of junipers right next to the house, you know, having that broken up a little bit to have some, you know, flowers mixed in there and, you know, having some irrigated lawn, things like that, you know, can make a huge difference.
And that makes all the sense in the world. Is there a place where people can go to find out more information about this?
Yeah.
If they want to change or make a plan, where can they go to find that?
So Vail Fire Department worked with some of the other departments within the community to develop a landscaping guide. And it really looks at what is good landscaping from a fire perspective, and that can be found at a lot of the Vail buildings as well as on the Vail Fire website.
That's really good information. Yeah. Thank you for that. And then, Mark, we had talked about if you're in a situation where there's an emergency and you need to be prepared, and what can people do to go about that process, because it's not just about being prepared before, but during and after.
Yeah, so that's really important. You know, this last year we saw about 40 people die in a wildfire in Northern California. So it's critically important people understand what they're going to do when there's a wildfire or when there's any other type of disaster. You know, and that really gets into kind of that evacuation piece. And so there's a couple of questions that people should be asking. The first is, how am I going to be notified? Have they signed up for EC Alert? Right. And you can sign up for EC Alert at ecalert.org.
Quick, easy, and free.
Yeah, it's like a minute, and you're going to get the alerts. You can choose which alerts you get, and you're going to find out about evacuations. We also have redundant systems that work similar to an Amber Alert called iPause that will notify everybody within a given area of an emergency. Okay. So that's the first thing. How are we going to find out about it? The second thing is you need to be prepared for an evacuation. Typically, you're going to have less than 5 minutes to evacuate. So if you don't have a plan on what you're going to take and where you're going to go and how you're going to communicate with your family, your evacuation is not going to be successful. So there's lots of good resources both on our website and on ready.gov on how to develop that plan. It goes into the things you need to have with you. You really need to think about, how am I going to be self-sufficient for at least 24 hours, maybe 72 hours? You know, do I know where my medicines are, where my important documents are? Do I have cash? Do I have all those things so I can survive for a while? And so that's critically important as well.
So Vail's website, what's the website they go to, Vail Fire Department?
Vailgov.com.
Okay, oh, to the Town of Vail one,
Yep, and then /fire.
And then ready?
Ready.gov.
Ready.gov, okay.
That has great evacuation information.
Mark, thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Paul, thank you for coming in. Happy summer. All right, we'll be right back with more of the show. Good information from the Vail Fire Department. Spend a little more time, get educated, and get EC Alert on your phone today. It's never too late, and it takes about 2 minutes to get it all set up. We have more Good Morning Vail coming up, our weekend edition, after the break.